Welcome to Allies or Enemies. I'm Jess.
And I am Sean, and today we are talking about Essen. We're going to be headed out to Germany for the largest board game convention of the year, and there are thousands and thousands of games that are released there, and we went through the list and we picked at least a few that initially caught our eye.
But I'm sure there's some that we missed, and I'm sure there's ones we haven't heard of that we'll discover when we're there. We don't have any photos, but we'll be able to show the box cover and say what piqued our interest. So let's get right to it. So in no particular order, the first one is Dorfromantik Sakura. So Dorfromantik is one of my favorite games of all time, and they are coming out with a new edition. So I think it's very similar to the original Dorfromantik, where you are cooperatively building out a village. But this time it takes place in Japan, and Sakura means cherry blossoms.
Oh, I didn't actually know that. So it's going to be beautiful.
I bet it's going to be lovely, so I definitely want to check it out.
Next up is Ironwood, and this comes from Mind Clash Games, and they've put out all sorts of games that I really love, like Voidfall and Anachrony and Tricarion. This one is apparently a little bit lighter than what they usually do, which by Mind Clash standards means it's still probably pretty heavy. It's two-player specific and is also asymmetric, and it looks terrific. I heard terrific things about it at UKG. We didn't get a chance to play it there. Hopefully we'll get a chance to play it at Essen. I'm really excited for it.
Another one is Daitoshi, and this is by DeVere, and it is designed by Danny Garcia, who's been on a real roll of things.
Yes.
And so I'm really curious to check it out. You are apparently building like steam-powered inventions and expanding your city, but as you're doing so, you're cutting down the trees, and it sounds like this forest spirits might like take revenge if you don't do restoration projects. So,
as they should.
Yeah, it seems interesting.
Next one is Rock Hard 1977. This is another one from DeVere, and this was designed by Jackie Fox, who used to be in the band The Runaways, who are a big seminal punk band. Also a four-time Jeopardy champion, apparently, and now she's put out this board game. It looks really cool. You're in a band, you're like a young up-and-coming rock star, and you're trying to build up your career, and just, I don't know how it plays, but the board looks amazing, and so very excited for that.
Next up is Spectacular, which is by Chili Fox Games, and you are building an animal habitat and drafting dice. So you're trying to keep similar habitats together, I think, and the dice represents animal food. So anything with animals, I'm on board. And another Norwegian published game is Saltfjord. So Saltfjord sounds like it's maybe like a remake of Santa Maria. It at least uses the same dice drafting mechanism or activation as that, but then apparently introduces like a whole bunch of other new elements.
Next up is SETI, and we actually got a little bit of a peek at SETI at UKGE, but we haven't got a chance to play it. And SETI is this game, first of all, the board is really cool. It's got all these different rings that are turning separately, and that's because what you're trying to do in SETI is make contact with extraterrestrial life, but not in like a sci-fi way, but in like an actually serious, like NASA way. It's kind of like the book Contact or the movie Contact, if you've seen that. And from what I saw, it just looks very cool.
My next pick is Andromeda's Edge, which is apparently like Dwellings of Eldervale 2.0. So it takes place in space, and I think it uses a lot of similar elements, probably like the tile placement and like card management that you're doing, but I think it introduces some new things. Someone who was saying that once they played it, they didn't feel the need to play Dwellings again. So let's see, because I love Dwellings.
Next up is Foundations of Metropolis, which is basically just a shrunken down version of Foundations of Rome, and not gameplay wise, but actual box wise. Foundations of Rome, way too big to have in a UK apartment. But we like it. We liked the game. We've played the game. So it's going to be really cool to be able to actually play that in a box that we can store in our house.
My next pick is Meadow Adventure Book, and I love the original game. And the adventure book introduces different scenarios and different ways to play Meadow. So I am always intrigued to explore more Meadow.
My next one is Black Forest, and I'm saying a lot of games here that I actually got a little peek of at UKGE, so I guess I'm not quite as adventurous, but Black Forest we got to play a very early version of, kind of backstage, and it is very, very cool. It uses some of the mechanics from Glass Road and just a whole bunch of other stuff. This feels quite different for an Uwe Rosenberg game. It knocked my socks off, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing the whole thing and not just a prototype.
My next one is Solstis, and one of the designers is Bruno Cathala, and it is a tile placement game. It looks adorable, and you are building, I think, a mountain habitat, but because it's tile placement and Bruno Cathala, I'm keen to check it out.
The next one I've got, I know almost nothing about, but the box really caught my eye. So did the name. It is called Seers Catalogue, and the box has a daughter and a mom looking at the Seers Catalogue, which I grew up reading, but it is obviously a little bit of a play on it because it's Seers, S-E-E, and I understand it's a little bit, it's another thing in the world of Werewolf, which Bezier Games loves that world, but man, that box looks great, and I want to check this out.
My next one is Minos Dawn of the Bronze Age, which is a board and dice game designed by Stan Kordonski. And so just because of the designer and the publisher, I'm interested, but I think it's a bit of a civilization game where you are opening up trade routes, building cities, and researching to get stronger action. So I'm, again, keen to check this one out.
Yeah, and just for the record, this is on my list as well. This looks very cool. My next one is the Gaia Project expansion. Gaia Project, one of my all-time favorite games, and there is finally an expansion coming out for it, so that's kind of all I need to know. I am going to be right at the booth for that.
Next up is Nusjford Big Box, and we have been wanting to play Nusjford for so long, but it's been out of print, and we heard the expansions are necessary, and now the Nusjford Big Box comes with the existing expansion and adds 2 new expansions, so this is one I definitely want to pick up.
Another one I wanted to talk about is Refuge, and this is a tile placing / bag building game, which is something that I have not seen before, and this is by Bombix, and Bombix has just been on a roll for me lately with Gnar and Sea Salt and Paper and Eloa and a whole bunch of stuff I've really liked, so very keen on this one.
Another one that I saw at UKGE was Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth, and so this is like Seven Wonders Duel. It has a very similar drafting mechanic with the pyramids, but has introduced like a whole ton of different stuff that I think it's going to play quite differently, and I like the Lord of the Rings theme.
One that I actually played an older version of that I really am excited to see the new version of is Vegetable Stock. And so this was originally a Korean game, I think, and a buddy of ours had a copy. It's just this really clever small box card game that is market manipulation. We played it a ton. We played a ton of my friend's copy and really looking forward to seeing what the new version looks like.
An expansion I'm keen to pick up is Forest Shuffle Woodland's Edge, and as well as the older Alpine one, because we don't have any of the Forest Shuffle expansions.
We're 2 expansions behind. Very embarrassing.
Yeah, so definitely want to pick up both of those because I love Forest Shuffle.
Another one I'm really excited about is Flatiron, and this has the same designers as White Castle, which was the belle of the ball at Essen last year, and this is based on the building of the Flatiron building in New York, which I am fascinated by. I love that kind of architecture, and their designs have just been terrific, so really want to see this one.
The last one that caught our eye is Flamme Rouge Grand Tour, and so we've played a campaign tour version before using an app. This time though, it's the official expansion, and so it lets you play multiple races, keeping track of it. I think there's like 3 up to 21 that you can choose, so you can find out who is the ultimate champion, and this is one I definitely want to pick up.
And that is it. That is a very quick look at a few of the games that initially caught our eye. Obviously, there's always new stuff getting announced. There's going to be so many games that we missed. I've already thought of some. Escape from New York. I didn't even talk about Escape from New York. There's so many more things we haven't played. any of these really, or almost any of these, so we don't know that much about them, but man, there's a lot of exciting stuff there.
Yeah, all we did was read up on them on the Board Game Geek page, and a lot of them don't even have photos, so we're really keen to see them in person, but we know we have missed some, so please let us know in the comments what games you're most looking forward to, and as usual, please like, subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you next time for another game.